On this vote, the yeas are 213, the nays are 214, with one answering present. The concurrent resolution is not adopted.
He did it again. What you saw right there is MAGA Mike Johnson, the Republican Speaker of the House, shutting down a vote that was introduced by the Democrats to pass a war powers resolution so that Congress can revoke Donald Trump's unlawful authority to go to war with Iran, and that Congress can reclaim its Article 1 power and defund this unlawful war against Iran. Almost every single Democrat voted to make sure they control the funding regarding this war and stop Donald Trump's unlawful war. MAGA Mike shut it down. And then MAGA Mike Johnson is running away. You see him running away from reporters. This is like what he does. He just runs through the halls of Congress. And one of the things that we've learned as well is that even the Trump regime's Office of Management and Budget Director, Russ Vought, has no clue the amount of money we are spending on this unlawful and catastrophic war in Iran. He can't even tell you, is it $100 billion that we've spent? Is it $500 billion that we spent? He spent 2 days on Capitol Hill, finally, Russ Vought, the director of the Office of Management and Budget, finally testifying before the House and the Senate. And he was asked very basic questions by senators and Congress members. How much money have we spent on the war? Because on the low end, it's probably $50 billion to $75 billion. And already we may have spent as much as $200 to $300 billion. What's the number? So watch as MAGA Mike is shutting down a vote on a war powers resolution in order to stop this unlawful war. You have Russ Vought, Donald Trump's Office of Management and Budget Director, saying he cannot even guess. He cannot even hypothesize. He cannot even estimate how much this catastrophic war has cost of our taxpayer dollars. Here, play this clip.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. And have you included, Director Vought, estimates or a fund for the war in Iran in the budget you presented to Congress?
No, sir.
Are you planning to present that in short order?
We are working on a supplemental for Congress for additional needs. We're working through that review process. Part of it is the length of the war. Part of the operations overseas. Part of it is the extent to which some items might be fiscal year 26 or 27, and we're working through that.
Thank you. Would I be in the ballpark to say we've already spent at least $50 billion?
I wouldn't want to make a characterization of that at this point.
Okay.
You have no idea, none, how much has been spent on the war so far?
We don't have that figures right now. I think in part because it's fluctuating on a day in, day out basis. But it's one of the reasons we want to are studiously reviewing.
You can't even give us a range.
No, I'm not going to give you a range.
And then Senator Patty Murray, she tries to get out the overall request that they're making, that they want $1.5 trillion more in addition to what we've already spent, which, as you now saw, even the Trump regime saying they don't know where the money's gone. They don't know. It's too complicated for them to track how much money has been spent. You know, it's a ridiculously horrific number. And now they want $1.5 trillion more, which is going to balloon the deficit. It's going to cause so much debt. Watch this exchange. Play this clip.
You and President Trump are asking for $450 billion in new defense spending. To be clear, that is the largest increase since World War II, and that does not include money that you reportedly still plan to request for the war in Iran. What is the total dollar amount requested for defense spending in FY27, including annual appropriations and reconciliation funds?
$1.5 trillion, Senator, a combination between the appropriations and the mandatory. We are trying to increase the amount that you would fund through the appropriations, but we don't want the full increase to have to be borne in the appropriations process.
So $1.5 trillion. What is the total dollar amount requested for non-defense spending?
$660 billion.
Okay, and what is the overall cut to non-defense programs that you're
10%,
proposing?
$70 billion.
$70 billion. We look at that as about $81 billion, frankly. So let me just say this, Director Vought, you count yourself as a spending hawk. And here you are arguing for a gobsmacking $1.5 trillion defense budget. I read that you disagreed with the president on that $1.5 trillion request, warning him that it would explode the deficit. Did you warn the president or administration officials that spending this much on defense would explode the deficit?
Senator, I fully support this budget.
And just so you can see it again very clearly, here's Democratic Senator Merkley saying, what about a ballpark? Is $50 billion on the war? Is that even within the range? Or sorry, I can't answer. We just don't know where the money's gone. You don't know where the money's gone as MAGA Mike is shutting down a vote where Congress is supposed to have the power of the purse. Why would we be funding this unlawful war where y'all are using our taxpayer dollars to commit genocide and blow up elementary schools, and you can't even tell us how much it costs? How dare this despicable regime of war criminals? Here, play this clip.
Would I be in the ballpark to say we've already spent at least $50 billion?
I wouldn't want to make a characterization of that at this point.
Okay. I would say, as the most knowledgeable person in the executive branch on the budget, I would expect you to have pretty good numbers on that. So I'm a little disappointed in that answer.
But then MAGA Mike's like, guess what, everybody? We're in the longest government shutdown in history because of the Democrats. By the way, did you even know this? Is that how numb we've become to the Trump regime's bankruptcy after bankruptcy, right? Just like he bankrupted casino. You know, we're in a 60-day plus government shutdown, partial government shutdown regarding the Department of Homeland Security because the Trump regime insists that the ICE and Border Patrol Gestapo be allowed to wear masks, be allowed to not use search warrants, be able to loiter and harass people at voting centers in the midterms, and not identify themselves. All the Democrats have said, and I disagree with this, I want to abolish ICE. I want to abolish the Border Patrol. These entities are criminal in nature, but the Democrats, a little bit more of a moderate position than me, they said, look, we'll fund it a little bit more, even though it's already been funded to the tune of $200 billion. You want a little bit more money? You want a little bit more money? Just, can you take off your masks? Can you use search warrants? Can you not harass people at voting stations? And the Trump regime's like, nope, we don't agree to that. Okay, so that's what the disagreement is about. And Donald Trump tried to not fund air traffic control and people who work at the airport. And now that changed. And now MAGA Mike is saying, well, you know, we may have been the longest government shutdown, but that's because of the Democrats, the TSA. This is the Democrats' fault. Here, play this clip.
With regard to the funding of the Department of Homeland Security, we are now in the longest shutdown in U.S. history, partial as it is. It's a very serious one. Democrats have decided to play political games and do this once again. Last fall, we had the longest in history. They broke their own record shamelessly and shamefully from our perspective. But here's where we are. The Department of Homeland Security, I'll remind you, is the third largest department of the federal government. It has 10 agencies beneath it, and all of them have one thing in common. They keep all of us safe. They keep the American people safe. Democrats have decided they don't want to have any part of funding your safety anymore, as shocking as that is. They have refused to fund two major components. That is the border, which was the #1 issue in the 2024 election, I'll remind everyone, border security, and they've refused to fund any enforcement of our immigration and customs law. That means Republicans have to do it on our own for the first time in history.
But then to add insult to injury, just to show you how pathetic MAGA Mike Johnson is, at around 1:30 a.m. in the morning this morning, MAGA Mike lost a vote when the MAGA Republicans then revolted against him in order to reauthorize Section 702 of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act. MAGA Mike wanted a 5-year extension of the right for the government to conduct surveillance, which again, lots of people view as an intrusion into privacy. MAGA Mike's own base said, we ain't extending that at all. And MAGA Mike lost the rule. And then Congress went into recess and they made all of Congress stay up until like 1:30 a.m. only to have MAGA Mike lose again when his own party voted against the extension of Section 702 of FISA. I just go back to a moment to Russ Vought for a second at his testimony. Here you have Democratic Congress member Coleman asking a pretty basic question about the fact that the Trump regime has defunded USAID, and just think about all the people who have died of AIDS and HIV and people who have starved to death because the Trump regime quite literally burned food and burned medication that could have gone to save lives. Play this clip.
What would you say right now to the mothers of the kids who died because of your dismantling of U.S. aid? Harvard study says there are more than 100,000 of them. Can you give me a quick response to what you would say to those mothers? Just don't talk to me about the study. Talk to me about what you would say to the mothers of the children who died.
Congresswoman, with great respect, I would just contest that the extent to which institutions that benefit from federal largesse put out studies that say that the world has ended, that the world has not in fact ended.
Well, it's going there.
We only cut USAID spending last year to the tune about $8 billion. There was far more that we could have done, Congresswoman.
I just also find it very, very fascinating that as the Trump regime is demanding $1.5 trillion more dollars for the defense spending, and as they've spent $200 billion on ICE and Border Patrol already, and as they've taken wasn't last year the budget close to $1 trillion? Now they want $1.5 trillion in defense spending. Okay, so with the trillions of dollars you've taken from us, as you've ripped health care away from people, as you've destroyed all of these government agencies, surely our soldiers will be able to, get food, right? Like they'll be able to have 3-course meals. No. USA Today broke an incredible story. Cookies, deodorant, socks. Iran war puts military packages in limbo. Thousands of boxes sent to service members in the Middle East are stuck in limbo. The Postal Service has indefinitely suspended delivery amid Iran war. So what's happening is that our Navy and our soldiers who are in this war in Iran, whether they're on the USS Tripoli, whether they're on the aircraft carriers like the USS Abraham Lincoln, their morale is as low as ever, and they're not even getting served like actual meals. I want you to watch or take a look at these photos right here. The U.S. sailors on the USS Abraham Lincoln aircraft carrier are reporting poor quality food in small portions during a long deployment near Iran. Because of extended operations and strained supply lines, crews are relying on limited resupply at sea, leading to rationing and lowering morale. Families say sailors are often hungry, and mail disruptions mean they can't send extra food or supplies. This is the type of meals that they're getting, that our service members are getting on the USS Abraham Lincoln. This is the meal on board the USS Tripoli amphibious assault ships right there. What even is that? A small scoop of shredded meat and a single folded tortilla. We've run out of food. We're not feeding our service members. And not only that, we've shut down the ability of their family to mail them food while they starve aboard the ships. And this Russ Vought and MAGA Mike Johnson, they're stealing your money and our money for from the taxpayers to give to billionaires, and they can't even fund the service members and give them food? Are you absolutely kidding me? Oh, and by the way, ICE and Border Patrol, which they're we got to fund ICE to the tune of hundreds of billions of dollars. You've already given them billions of dollars. And you know what? The acting head of ICE, Todd Lyons, he keeps suffering panic attacks. He's so stressed out about his job and working with Stephen Miller, he's had to carry a defibrillator around near him. And now he has panic attack, and he's apparently going to be resigning in a few weeks because he can't handle the pressure. And let's just go to the House floor a second, because as MAGA Mike running away, shutting down the votes again, let's take a look at what AOC had to say on the House floor. Let's play it.
Gentlewoman from New York is recognized for 1 minute.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In February, the Trump administration, in conjunction with the Israeli government, launched an illegal and disastrous war in Iran. They provided no rationale to the American people. They sought no legal authority from Congress, and they have since descended our world and our global economy into chaos. And that was just the beginning. Now, President Trump has threatened to use the United States military to carry out acts of genocide against the Iranian people, innocent civilians. Up until today, he has done this on his own, a rogue actor. But today, we vote on whether or not he will do this in the name of the American people. Congress must vote to exercise our power to stop this chaos, or whether we sanction it. And we must vote to restrain it. I urge our colleagues that we vote yes and that we end and stop all that is imperiled before us. And with that, I yield back.
Or how about Congresswoman Stansbury? What did she have to say?
To the gentlewoman from New Mexico, Representative Melanie Stansbury.
The gentleman from New Mexico is recognized for 1 minute.
Mr. Speaker, as co-sponsor of this War Powers resolution, this debate is making me sick. The lies and colleagues who are so weak that they won't enforce the Constitution to rein in a president who is clearly out of control. As we sit here, thousands of civilians are dead. 13 service members have been killed. Hundreds have been injured with brain injuries whose lives will never be the same. Millions of people displaced and our American bases bombed. And for what? Having been led into an illegal war by a madman who is attacking the Pope, threatening war crimes, and implicated in the Epstein files, and who can't explain why we were there or what happens the day after. That is why it is time to end this war, to stand with our troops and to stand with the American people. So we must pass this resolution and end this war now.
Gentleman yields. Members are reminded to refrain from engaging in personalities toward the president.
Or how about Democratic Congressmember Magaziner? Here's what he had to say.
The gentleman from Rhode Island is recognized for 1 minute.
Mr. Speaker, the American people are tired of morally bankrupt politicians who are always saying that there's not enough money for health care, there's not enough money for education, there's not enough money for housing, but are willing to spend more than $1 billion a day on an unnecessary war of choice. A war that has taken the lives of 13 American service members, that has taken the lives of over 100 elementary school children bombed in their school. Horrific. A war that has raised gas prices and home heating oil prices and fertilizer prices on the American people. Now, that may not matter in Mar-a-Lago, where everything looks good. But to the average working American, they don't know why they're being asked to pay for this unnecessary war, and neither do any of us. The administration has not given us any evidence, and I've gone to every briefing, classified briefings and otherwise, any evidence that Iran was plotting an imminent threat against the United States, an imminent attack, any evidence that they were close to getting a nuclear weapon? None. This is an unnecessary war, a costly war. We have an opportunity to end it today, and I urge my colleagues to do that. I yield back.
The gentleman yields. The gentleman from New York reserves. The gentleman from Florida is recognized.
Reserve.
The gentleman from Florida.
Let's take a look at what Congresswoman Comliger Dove had to tell our reporters on Capitol Hill yesterday. Play this clip.
Are you concerned about the impact that this war in Iran is having on our national debt?
Oh my God. Yes, of course I am. Stevie Wonder can even see how much this is costing us. So gas prices are going up. It's almost $10 in California, and fertilizer is going up. I mean, you name it, the prices have gone up. And this dude, Dr. Jesus, okay, is wanting to spend $2 billion of your money every single day rather than help you get health care. Fuck his ass.
Thank you, Congresswoman.
And here's what Congressmember Crow told our reporters on Capitol Hill. Let's play this clip.
Congressman, are you concerned about the rising national debt as a result of the war in Iran?
Well, we're close to $2 billion a day. Americans are paying $500 million more a day at the gas pump. And on top of it, and maybe most importantly, I mean, undoubtedly, most importantly, our service members who are at risk, who are fighting, who are suffering, who are exposed to risk. Americans want out of the Middle East. They want out of this endless cycle of war, which is what the vote was about today. Republicans stopped it, but we're going to keep on fighting.
Got it. Thank you, Congressman.
Thank you.
But folks, if you listen to the Office of Management and Budget Director Russ Vought, he says affordability right now has been achieved. Everything's affordable for everybody, and everybody's celebrating that life is so affordable under Donald Trump. Success. Yay. This is really what they're saying in the Trump regime. Let's play this clip.
This particular budget committee has not. They have been successful in conjunction with the President of the United States. I hope that continues. We're in the midst of passing we passed the extension of the President's tax cuts. Many of those were aimed at working class individuals. They're now going through their first season of seeing what changes that will make on their bottom line. And I think that's going to lead to an explosion in affordability for the American people. This side of the aisle would have said,
there you have it, folks. Let me know what you think. Yeah, we're showing you the receipts, folks. Hit subscribe right now. If you think you're subscribed, double check that you're actually subscribed. Help us get to 7 million subscribers. Thanks so much for watching and have a good one.
Love this video? Support independent media and unlock exclusive content, ad-free videos, and custom emojis by becoming a paid member of our YouTube channel today. You can also gift memberships to others. Let's keep growing together.